need to look for alternative means to farm this crayfish so that this crayfish will be abundance, so that every people will be having it to eat always. That's why we as scientists, we have done a lot of research. Have been doing the research tirelessly to make sure that we will look for a good alternative way of how we can farm crayfish here in Nigeria. Good our dear viewers, welcome back to the channel. I remain my humble self, Tabwe Brave in Maboe, CEO, Brave Integrated Farms Limited. If you are new to the channel, please do us well to subscribe and also follow us in all our social media platforms. Share this video. Now, this video, we're going to be discussing the better ways to farm crayfish. As you know, crayfish is a daily eating commodity. People eat crayfish every day. Use crayfish to cook soup, use crayfish to cook rice, almost everything that we eat daily, they put crayfish. But have you asked yourself this question? This crayfish that I'm eating every day, where does this crayfish come from? That is a question you're supposed to ask yourself. Now, you hear something like fish farming, pig farming, goat farming, almost everything we eat, they have their farm, they farm them. That's why it's in abundance. But crayfish does not have a farm. People don't farm crayfish. Crayfish is taken from the ocean, from rivers. That's where crayfish is being gotten. And you know that human population is increasing daily. So we need to look for alternative means to farm this crayfish so that this crayfish will be abundance, so that every people will be having it to eat always. That's why we as scientists, we have done a lot of research. Have been doing the research tirelessly to make sure that we will look for a good alternative way of how we can farm crayfish here in Nigeria, in Africa. Because those in Asia, American, Cyprus, India, these people they already built technologies where they farm crayfish. They have the same way we have fish ponds here. They have crayfish farms. So Nigeria here, we can farm crayfish because our climate is very good for it. Now the reason why they don't farm crayfish in Nigeria is because of one, lack of research. Nigerians don't do more of research. They only do more of bookwork research, but more of practical research that can build the economy. People don't do it. Because I'm imagining, how can someone read from primary 1 to professorship? You have, as an agricultural professor, you don't have any innovation you have brought. That means your professorship is useless. That's why before you become a professor, you want to look at things. These are problems that you need to solve, and that is why we, that is in the agricultural field, have found a way of who can farm this crayfish, understand, and save our climate, you understand, and save ourselves. So I'm going to be discussing how we can efficient way of how we can farm this crayfish and have it in more abundantly, and the reasons why these crayfish are not doing well in Nigeria, you understand, because one, crayfish is not like other livestock. Because to farm crayfish now, crayfish requires oxygen. It's not like other livestock, like catfish now. If you bring catfish out of the water, it can stay alive for very long time, does not die easily. But crayfish is different. Because why? Crayfish does not have the ability to absorb oxygen. You understand? They absorb oxygen with their gills. So in this video, I want to be discussing what usually make crayfish to die after they bring them out from the water. Because if you know why what makes them to die after they bring them out of water, you will know the better alternative to farm them. So I've written down some things through my research, and I begin to discover some things that make crayfish to die and how you can do it so that they will not be dying. Now, number one thing that make crayfish to die after you bring them out of the water is one, their gills. Crayfish have gills. If you have catch live crayfish, you will see their gills moving. So once the crayfish is brought out of the water, the gills that they have start drying off. You understand? Their gills start drying off because why? The way you keep them is not moist enough. You understand? They need water, moving water for them to survive. So one thing that makes crayfish to dry when they are brought out of water is their gills dry off once they are out of the water. So the gills must stay moist to obtain oxygen. Once it's brought out of water, the gills dries off and stop functioning. Now, the gills of this crayfish now, they can only take oxygen when they're inside the water. So if you bring them out of the water, the ability for them to take in oxygen is limited. You understand? The ability for them to take in oxygen is limited when they are brought out of water. So how do you solve this problem? Now, how you solve this problem is make alternative oxygen for them, provide oxygen for them, so that when you bring them out, this oxygen you have brought, you have bring for them can sustain them. So if oxygen can be given to them, they will survive, they will reproduce. You understand? They will reproduce. And for you to make oxygen to be running 24 hours, you need light. And that is the problem in Nigeria. There is no light. The small research we have done so far, and we have seen results. We spent a lot of money in it. We have spent millions of naira in it, because why? We have to be running power. You understand? Even the solar, we are planning to get a solar, and you know these are very expensive. So you need to be running a lot of power supply to supply them oxygen, because the oxygen machine need power supply for them to function. You understand? So the other one is body stress and dehydration. Out of water, crayfish lose moisture from the body and experiences stress. When you bring them out of water, they lose moisture. The moisture content that inside them is supposed to sustain them is no longer there again when they are brought out of water. For example, now when they're in the river, you know that the river is to move. There is current in the river. Now that current that is moving like this, the oxygen is penetrating inside the water. You understand what I'm saying? So the water is moving, oxygen is penetrating inside the water, and they are taking in oxygen. You understand? So if you want to farm them, you must make sure that you provide alternative oxygen for them, because they are not strong like other type of livestock, other type of fishes. You understand? They are very soft, so oxygen must be provided for them to live effectively. You understand? Even though there is oxygen in the air, crayfish cannot efficiently take it in, because their gills are not built to breathe. You understand? Their gills are not built to breathe. You understand? That's why they need to be inside the water for them to breathe. Then another one is lack of feeding. Crayfish eat a lot. From our research, they eat. So what did the crayfish eat? They eat basically plants, decaying plant inside the river, inside the sea. This decaying plant or rotten things, that's what they eat. So you must know how to feed them. So one thing I've come to realize in crayfish farming, if we can make oxygen available, oxygen is the most important thing in crayfish farming. The rest things are easily to access, and they produce very well. Crayfish produce in millions. From our research, I have discovered that crayfish produce in millions, and we are ready to partner with you watching me. If you want to start up a crayfish farm, contact me. I will come and set up the farm for you. And also, incubation is a problem. How do you incubate the eggs? This is one thing that we have come to succeed, how to incubate the eggs. If you don't know how to incubate their eggs, it will be difficult for the egg to hatch. Now, like I said earlier, if you look at the river is moving, it's flowing. So for the eggs to even hatch, when they move, the eggs are in the abdomen of the mother. For example, now if you study the anatomy of crayfish, the eggs, this will be in the abdomen of the mother. If you have got those people that have seen the live crayfish, if you look under it, the belly, you will see eggs there. You will see those eggs there. Now, when those eggs are there, there must be oxygen must be touching them always for those eggs to hatch. You understand? So what we do is, when we took the matured crayfish, what we did was to put it into our incubating facility, then introduce oxygen to it, and as the oxygen 24 hours supply is moving, as it's moving, the egg will now hatch, and they hatch in millions. So it is advisable that we are in Nigeria, we need to start up this farming, so that crayfish will not go into extinction. All the scientists, agriculturists, we have to put hands together to bring out a sustainable way. Only me cannot do it. I'm a researcher, and I believe in researching on and getting ways to improve human life, but only me cannot do it. You as a scientist need to come together, and if you can't even do it, support us that is doing it. If I can support it with materials, machines, because I've already had knowledge on how to breed the crayfish. I already know what to make them to sustain them. You understand? So If you can partner with us, we are able to farm crayfish, and this is a multi-million industry. Why I say it's a multi-million industry, it's an industry that is still, people don't do it. So if we can have few partners and we set this thing up in large quantity, we can produce a lot of crayfish that will feed the whole Nigeria, and we can also even export out of Nigeria. Like I said earlier, we have succeeded in farming crayfish. Currently, we are farming our crayfish and we are seeing success, but we need to do it more industrially. To feed, Nigeria is a very big country, not talking about exportation. So if you are ready to partner with us, and if you have any other knowledge, you can contact me on my number 080-633-45443. Call me and we'll put that together. If you still want to learn more about crayfish farming, contact me and we are going to do things together. Like I said earlier, I'm Brave Tabowe, reporting live from Delta State, Nigeria. We have our facilities in Bayelsa, also in Delta State. If you want to partner with us, call us and we want to do good business together. Till I come your way again, the most thing we are doing is sustainability and availability. That is our watchword. Making agricultural products available and sustainable, protecting our ecosystem, protecting our sea life, and making things available, making food available for everybody. Thank you very much for viewing. Do us well to subscribe if you have not subscribed yet, and share this video. Till I come your way again, bye bye.